Hey, welcome to my Color Up Cruise update. So did I win a free cruise by just playing craps on the cruise? Well, actually, yes, I did. Here's my official certificate of award for complimentary Royal Caribbean Cruise for Two. So most of you watching want to hear about the gambling, so I'll cover that first. And then if you're interested, you could stick around and I'll talk a little bit about my first ever cruise experience. Now, I went out on the Allure of the Seas, and this is part of their Oasis class, which are their biggest class boats except for their brand new one. They have like one bigger one that's just a class of its own. So what's noteworthy about this is that they have 2 dice tables on these ships. And I think most of the other smaller, cruise ships have just 1 table. So it wasn't really a huge casino. I mean, pretty big for a boat. But there was a bar in the center. There's table games and slots kind of all scattered around, and it's kind of separated in 2 sides. Now, one side is smoking and the other side is non-smoking, but it's all in the same room, so it essentially all becomes a smoking. I mean, granted, one side was a little bit easier to breathe in than the other side. It got pretty heavy and smoke. So they also did have a second little casino. It was more like a room with a couple slots and table games, and they did have roulette there, but again, no dice. And I believe that was no smoking over there in that little casino. So the casino is not 24 hours. They open, and it just depends on if they're out to sea or if they're at the port. So they do have a schedule when they open. But so the slots open right away, but the table games usually a little bit later, and then craps tables sometimes even later than that. So it kind of has their own schedule. And I know one day at sea they did open at noon, which was nice. And then usually it was about 6 p.m. that they opened the dice table, and then the second table, the non-smoking table, would open at 8. So they didn't really have a closing time. One dealer told me they have a starting time but no closing time. So they would just deal craps until kind of everyone or the game died down. I didn't really test that out. The latest I stayed up one night was a little bit after midnight. I'm not really a late night guy. I get tired. I'd rather play in the morning. But anyway, it worked out. So each day I started with the light in the dark strategy, which I'll link up here. And essentially it's a $100 don't pass, and then you put $100, once a point is established, $100 on the box numbers. And it's kind of a hedge way to play. You're not really trying to win, but you're trying to minimize your losses, but you're really trying to get a $200 average bet up there and stay as long as you can on the table. It's really all about earning points to get a free cruise. The strategy is. I bought $1,200 for the trip because I don't want to bring $2,000, lose it all for a $1,200 cruise. Night 1, I brought it half, so I bought it for $600. I played Light in the Darkness for about 2 hours, and I checked. I had earned 370 points, so about 185 points per hour. Not bad. I was down $230 though. So I got a little scared and I switched things up since the points were pretty good shape for the first night. So I just did like a 6 and 8 place bet, maybe some come bets. And I did that for about another hour and a half at the $10 level even. And I ended up actually up $130, which was nice, and earned another 57 points. So for night 1, I played a total of 3.5 hours. I earned 427 points. So, a third of the way there. And then I colored up for $500, so $100 loss for the night. Night 2, I brought all my money, so $1,100. I played Light in the Darkness for about an hour, a little over an hour and 15 minutes. I checked my points. I earned 253 points, so 202 points per hour, which is a little bit better rating than previous night. So I went ahead, played another 2 hours, and I earned 382 more points, a little lower, about 191 points per hour. At this point, I'm positive $65 playing the Light in the Darkness. So I took a quick break, came back. I was at 1,062 points overall, so I'm real close to getting my free cruise. And I decided not to take the risk anymore with the Light in the Darkness, so I just played, I played at $18 level, but, kind of 6 and 8. Spread to the 5 and 9, just, normal stuff. I did that for about another 2 hours and but I earned another 92 points. So for night 2, I played for a little over 5 hours. My total points earned is $1,154, and I was actually up $115, so $15 up over 2 nights. Night 3, I buy in for $1,000. I'm at the table by myself at the non-smoking. I came a little bit later at 8. I think I watched a show or something, but the light in the darkness lasted maybe 30 minutes. I rolled like 2 come out 7s. I established a point. I rolled the point right away. I think that I rolled like a 7 and 11 again, established another point, knocked it off again real quick. So I just bailed on the strategy. I'm like, I can't take it. I'm down too much. I'm not sure what I played after that. Probably like 6 and 8 bets, some come bets, something like that. But my total time played was 3 hours. I had earned 226 points. I was down 435 today. And so minus $420 overall for the trip. My total points through 3 nights is 1,380. So my free cruise is secured. And now it's time to win back my money and get to a higher level. The higher level, I think I know the next level is 1,500, and then you go on, you get more cruises to choose from and more free play. So night 4, I decided not to play the light in the darkness. It had secured me a cruise, so it did its job, but I hated seeing that come out loser of $100, especially multiple times in a row. So I just decided to do my own hybrid. So what I did was an $80 lay 4 and then $44 inside. So I'll record a video showing it in detail, but this is what I played for the last night. So session 1, I finished up $200, but I wasn't really sure of the points. I had redeemed my promo chips, so when you could check in the machine, but my points had reset to 0. So then I had to check with the host for my total points. At that point, my wife had played my card on some slots. I know she earned another 112 points. But so the point thing was a little confusing at that point. So after playing slots a little bit with the wife, I decided to go back to craps, and things went well. And at some point, we were in a really big roll, and I knew I was good. I knew I had a lot of decent money still on the table after a long roll. The pucket went off, and I told the dealer, hey, turn my bets off. And she's like, no, I need to pull them down. I'm like, I'd rather you just turn them off. So she didn't listen. She pulled them down, right? So then the box, I'm like, please don't count the chips, please, because we're in a big roll, right? I don't want a pause in the game or whatever. The puck was off, but she pulled me down anyway. She sent him to the box, and I'm like, please don't count the chips. So she waited for a second. The guy came out, rolled a point, and then she started counting the chips. I'm like, oh my gosh, please don't count the chips. So naturally, this very next roll, 7 out. Everyone's looking at me as the box is counting up my chips. And, I'm not superstitious, but I know other players are, so I try to respect that. I was going to turn my bets off, happy to wait until the shooter 7'd out, and then I would color up. But they decided to color me up in the middle of his roll, and so that really sucked. And I don't know how much people hated me for that, but it is what it is. But I did pull a pretty good amount of money off the table. So I won another $345 there. So my total win for night 4 was $545 playing my new strategy. I earned 176 points playing craps for about 3.5 hours. Now I was only rated about 50 points per hour playing the strategy, and there was a new box woman. She was very active, and I don't think she counted my lay bet. I know other people were kind of complaining how she was rating them. Anyway, so as far as my trip total, 4-night cruise, I was in for $1,200. That's what I brought. I colored up and cashed out for $1,325. So a $125 profit and a free cruise. Very nice. I ended up with 1,668 points, way too far away from the next level of 2,500. And 100 of that or so was my wife playing slots. So anyway, I do want to say the light in the darkness. I do want to recap that it did its job. The first 2 nights especially, I played 5 hours, 15 minutes, and it earned me 1,005 points, about 191 average. And then night 3, I played for like 30 minutes before, like I said, I got whacked. So, but 5 hours, over 1,000 points, that's pretty good. Now the whole cruise, we had just great dealers. Even if they weren't like super great, they tried really hard and they tried to have fun with you. So it was really refreshing. I did have one bad dealer, which was weird because she was super nice until you caught her making a mistake, and she became very defensive, aggressive, and would just get downright mean. She did it with me as soon as she started off. I caught her in a mistake. She owed me 25. She's like, no, this is how you... I'm like, listen, I know my bet. And anyway, we made it through. She argued with a couple other people. And then later in the night, she actually got into it with Brian. Brian's the nicest guy in the world, so he wouldn't say anything. But finally, she was like, he was shooting from, next to the stick. And she's like, you need to move. You're in my area or something like that. So it was just ridiculous. But, one bad apple is not going to spoil the whole trip. So anyway, but other than that, the dealers were really great. I loved it. So I won a free cruise. I have already booked it, the next date. My wife wanted to get back on a boat soon. And so how it works is I put a $100 deposit down while I was on board. And what this did was it gave me a booking number. It also secured a $100 free play for me. But what this did by putting the deposit down was allow me 30 days to decide on my next sailing date. Otherwise, you have to pick right then and there before you get off the boat. But I put down the deposit and gave me 30 days to choose. So my next trip is $128 for the port fees and taxes. So my free cruise is going to cost me $256 for me and my wife. Now there is travel costs, but we're going out of Los Angeles port. So for us, we can drive down there. And so, maybe a little bit of gas. I don't know if they have parking fees, but minimal travel cost. And then, of course, speaking of cost, there will be an $18 per day gratuity that they'll charge you while we're on the ship. But, $250 for a cruise, another week cruise, it's going to be nice. So let's talk about cruising a little bit. My overall experience, I loved it. I guess I'm a cruiser now, especially if they keep paying for themselves. I think it's a great vacation and a pretty cheap one for what you get. The dinner options were great. I do want to talk a little bit about that. They have lots of premium options, so you can get different steakhouses or sushi restaurants or stuff like that. But there's also cafes and different buffets that are open all the time that you can get free food, pizza parlors, different things like that. There's free ice cream stands. And then there's free dinners and breakfasts that are sit down in a really nice environment. They have really nice quality meals, again, for free as part of it, if you don't want to upgrade to the meals. All the drinks I wanted, juices, waters, all that were free. Sodas I got free. They do cost, but I got them from Brian because he's at a certain tier where he gets a couple free a day. Alcohol, of course, is extra, so you can check and see if a package deal is worth that or it's worth paying per day. It depends on how much you drink, obviously. So food, good. The shows, they were pretty good. I mean, they're not like Las Vegas high-end quality shows, but for on a boat, they were actually pretty impressive. They were entertaining and well worth the cost, which is free, again. My wife doesn't like public pools very much. So we didn't spend a lot of time in those, especially not jacuzzi. She's just kind of icked out about that, but it doesn't bother me, but I didn't get in them. As far as like the activities and stuff, they had like surfing, like the wave builder, and they had rock wall and putt-putt golf and zip lining and just a lot of like activity stuff like that on the boat. At this point, I'm too old for that kind of stuff, so I didn't really participate in any of that. But there are plenty of things to do and see, which is really cool. What else can I say? There were adult areas, which was nice because we didn't have our kids with us, or I only really have one below 18 anyway, and she turns 18 next week or something. But anyway, there are, there's this buffet that is adults only, and then I don't know if it's the front or the back of the ship if you want to lounge around adult area, so a little quieter, which was really nice. The room was decent size. We didn't get anything special. It was an ocean view, so it did have a big window. But a decent sized room, a little bit, typical hotel room, maybe a little smaller. But king bed, well, there was two singles pushed together, which is king size, but we didn't feel the crack in the middle, so it was no big deal. Bathroom was a little small, but you can expect that on the ship. I hated the toilet. Just for me, I need a little more room for my knees, and you're banging against the counter there. That was my least favorite, or probably the only one of the negative things I could have to say about the whole ship. The water pressure was good. It wasn't super hot, but it wasn't, it was warm enough to take a decent shower. And I guess what else can I say about the room? They did do the whole folded towel animal thing after we came back every night. So I think once we had like a bear and then an elephant, and once we had like a bat hanging from the ceiling. So that was fun. We got, I guess that's kind of a thing on casino cruises, or cruises. This trip we stopped at Nassau and the Bahamas, and for me it wasn't a big deal. I've been to Haiti probably 15 times or so, so I'm used to that kind of island, older, I would say rundown, but you got tourist spots. So there wasn't, we walked around town for a little bit, but actually we spent time on the boat because most everyone was off during that time. And then the private island, we went on Coco Cay, or I'm not sure what it's called, Perfect Day at Coco Cay, Coco Cay or whatever it's called. I guess it's Royal Caribbean's private island. That was great. We did upgrade to the adult-only section, which is, I guess, new, and it was cool. There's a little cove. There was food where you can get hamburgers and fish sandwiches and kind of whatever you wanted there, and then obviously lay on the beach, lounge around. So we had a really good time on the private island. What else can I say? That was the 2 stops for that one. We liked our time out at the sea. I don't know. It was just a great vacation, and of course, there's craps and gambling involved, so what more can you really ask for? I don't know what else to say. I think I've covered it. I had a great time. Won my free cruise. Looking forward already to the next one. I'm not going to release the date. This one's going to be a family one. I think my adult children are coming and bringing some guests with them, so we're going to have a good time hopefully. And yeah, but I will probably announce future dates that you guys can join. It gets a little tough, right? Because a lot of ships only have 1 table. These bigger ones have 2 tables. But just 20 people come, and there's already craps players. So 20 people, and you don't want to be like, I can't get on the table. So I'm not sure how to balance that out. But anyway, it was a good time, and I hope to maybe cruise with you guys in the future, and looking forward to more craps on a cruise. So until next time, good luck on coloring up.